true accolades of that speech.
Well,
everyone seems to be raving about it.
Warmly received, and I suppose it spoke to the fact that while there is a deep level of sadness across the globe at this time of the Queen's death, there's also a moment of celebration and gratitude for the extraordinary life she has lived and the service that she so dutifully committed herself to throughout her entire life. Let's now bring in Royal Editor at the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers, who is in London. Russ, a momentous, historic speech, wasn't it?
Well, it was, and I think that King Charles really conveyed the emotion of the whole world. I think we've seen this a huge outpouring of grief. And just thanks for an incredibly a life well lived, as he so eloquently put it. And I thought he appeared very, very measured. He paused at the right moment. It had obviously been something that you would imagine he'd prepared for some time, but the enormity of the situation would have struck him when he went into Buckingham Palace yesterday afternoon to deliver that speech after meeting well-wishers. And I thought he looked rather, of course, sad but teary-eyed. And yes. I think that tells you an awful lot about the burden of responsibility on his shoulders, not only for the nation but for the Commonwealth, but also I think the world are looking to him for some sort of resolution. How do we move forward from this? I mean, the Queen has been a constant in so many people's lives for so long, and now this is a completely new era that we'll all need to get to grips with very, very quickly. And I think that King Charles really conveyed that message, and a message of hope as well.
Yes, and he really started to solidify what his vision and moving forward what the royal family will look like. Obviously, the first thing that we need to discuss is that Kate and William are now going to be the Prince and Princess of Wales, which we haven't had a Princess of Wales since Will's mother, Diana.
Well, we haven't, and I think that some people had discussed whether that would be mentioned in the speech. I think that he's taken the opportunity at the first instance to announce that, which is, really setting out his path of what he sees the future being, that he really needs his family behind him, and certainly that William and Kate are that sort of unifying force for the monarchy. I mean, Prince Charles has then taken the kingship at an extraordinary time, not only for the monarchy, but his own family. I mean, it's been plagued with scandal and infighting, and certainly the new Prince and Princess of Wales will be that force for good. And certainly the King conveyed that in his message, not only saying that he would change as a person, because he'd always been known as sort of a meddling prince, someone who had got to grips with business matters of government, writing letters to government ministers. But he admitted that he would have to change, and even the charities that he'd supported for so long would even need to be passed on to his family members. So an awful lot of sort of unifying messages, I thought, came from the speech.
Another significant message in the speech was his expression of love for Prince Harry and Meghan. Some are evaluating that, I suppose, as an olive branch. What are your thoughts? And will Harry and Meghan stay on in the UK now for the funeral?
Well, firstly, my understanding is Harry will definitely be staying on in the UK. I'm not too sure about Meghan. Of course, they've got two young children at home. One may presume that she may go back to be with the children and then return to the UK for the funeral. We were talking about the date of when that would be. We do expect that would be Monday, the 19th of September. In the next few hours tomorrow here in the UK, that will be confirmed, I imagine. Of course, it is an olive branch. I mean, we've seen over the last recent weeks that certainly Meghan has railed against her treatment during her brief time within the royal family. Certainly, there is an intense nervousness within the royal household and indeed the family itself about Harry's upcoming memoir. And I think he just looked absolutely crestfallen when he was being driven into Balmoral Castle on Thursday, and maybe he is really wondering about whether his chosen path was one that was the best for him and his family.
And one wonders if the message from the King is like all can be well if we work on it together. And we know that the Queen's coffin is still at Balmoral, and sometime this week that is going to make its journey to London. So where to next after Balmoral?
Well, again, those details, because Operation Unicorn, as it is codenamed, because the Queen died in Scotland, is being deployed. Her coffin is in situ at the ballroom, where the members of staff have been paying their respects over the last 24 hours. It'll then be moved to the Palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh. There is a 6-hour journey by car for well-wishers to line the streets and pay their own respects. Then I understand that Queen Elizabeth II's body will be moved to St Giles Cathedral. Again, there will be a service of thanksgiving and remembrance attended by members of the public and high-ranking politicians. And then at some stage, we still don't know when, but at some stage, sort of after the weekend, I would imagine the Queen's body will be flown instead of travelling by the royal train, which had been long-held plans to travel by the royal plane. But I understand it will be flown back to London, and then you will really see a cascade of people descending on the capital to pay their respects.
Russell, the Accession Council meets in the next 24 hours. This is very significant, isn't it? Tell us what happens there.
It is. It's very, very detailed, and again, nobody really understands what happens at that moment in time. But tomorrow at around 10 o'clock, the Accession Council is a group of Privy Councillors. In the UK, they consist of high-ranking politicians. There's about 700 officials in that chamber. Will meet with Prince Charles. They will proclaim him as the king. I think that announcement will come about 11 o'clock here in the UK, and then the business really begins of his kingship and how the funeral plans will be laid out. I imagine Buckingham Palace will be making some real firm announcement in the coming hours about when we will get a confirmed date for the funeral, how that will look like, when people may choose to leave floral tributes. I mean, we've seen an absolutely incredible amount of people on the streets, not only in London, but across the United Kingdom, all coming together to try and pay their respects and to try and make sense of this tremendous occasion at the moment. But there's an awful lot of moving parts here, and I think a lot will become clear over the coming hours.
Well, while the King did speak about his family moving forward and what their positions are going to be and what the workload they're going to be and his love for them, it's interesting to see where the rest of the royals will sit. And, of course, we're going to hear from Edward and Sophie and what may happen to Andrew. But one that I think was starting to get murmurs about, which I think is quite interesting, is that Princess Beatrice, who is one of the Queen's beloved granddaughters, is also potentially beginning a new role.
Well, I think you look at the family, and that they have all travelled up to be at Balmoral. I understand that Beatrice and Eugenie and Zara Phillips were there at Balmoral, and this concept of the family coming together is really being played out here now. And I think that's when the Queen unified her family, no more so than in her Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and certainly this is exactly what we're seeing, especially with Princess Beatrice.
It's interesting that there is a lot shifting with titles as well, including Harry and Meghan's children, who are now grandchildren of the monarch and therefore could be entitled to prince and princess titles as well. A lot shifting at the moment. Russell Myers, we appreciate your insights and your time as always. Thank you for joining us.
G'day, it's Ali.
And Karl.
Thanks for watching the Today YouTube channel.
Subscribe now for brand new videos every day and exclusive bonus clips.
Ali, say please.
Please? Why?
Please. I don't know.